Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/idontworkherelady, where people tell us their craziest stories on when they got mistaken for being an employee at somewhere they didn't work. If you're new around here, please do hit subscribe down below so that you never miss out on another video. But for now, let's sit back, relax and enjoy some Reddit stories.
These aren't my kids. My wife and I were visiting family. Their city has this winter sort of festival thing. It's cold, but they don't get heaps of snow. Everyone gets in their cold weather gear and goes out to grab some good hot food, watch some performances, ice skate, etc. I was helping some family with a little home renovation, mostly the destruction part, and lost track of time. I get the "where the hell are you?" call from the wife, and subsequently hustle my butt over there unshowered and still wearing my contractor attire. So there I am, waiting in line with a mildly hangry wife, wearing an old black hoodie, a beanie, and my multi-pocketed builder's pants. The line is pretty long, but eventually splits off into maybe half a dozen separate lines to get a ticket and enter the grounds. We get to our ticket booth and ask for 2 adult tickets. The girl manning the booth sort of sighs at us and takes my card, runs it and says, 2 adults and 3 kids. Wife and I look at each other. It's pretty loud with all the people, but she definitely said 3 kids, right? So I correct her and say, no, just the 2 adults please. Ticket lady looks like she's well and truly over this festival and its patrons. Tells me, look guy, a family pass is only $2 extra and the kids have to be counted for fire safety. My generally happy demeanor is starting to slip. I said 2 adults please, we don't have any kids. Ticket lady leans out of the booth, points down and says in her best teenage sass, well, what are those? I follow her finger and, oh, if there aren't 3 kids right next to me. The kids are maybe 8, 5 and 3. I'm bad with kids' ages, but I have relatives with kids those ages, and that seemed about right. The biggest one has his hand gripping my knee and pocket on my pants. He's holding another littler boy's hand, and the littler boy is holding the hand of a little girl. I'm just sort of staring at these little people. Ticket lady is smugly triumphant, and it's up to my wife to save the day. Yeah, these aren't our kids, we have no idea where they came from. Ticket lady looks skeptical. Fair enough, we have these kids just don't randomly appear, except apparently when they do. Until the oldest kid looks up, sees a total stranger and starts to cry. Doesn't let go of my pocket though. Yeah, these are not our kids. Ticket lady is looking less sure of herself. I'm confused how my leg has sprouted 3 sentient beings and I didn't even notice. It's up to my wife to point out the obvious. Where are these kids' parents? Now we're all frantically looking around for some parents but not seeing anybody. Ticket lady gets on the radio and a security guy comes up and leads us away to Lost and Found. We sort of have to go with them because the kid has a hard grip on my pocket and refuses to let go. The 2 youngest ones seem largely oblivious to the whole thing. So there we are, parked in Lost and Found. They're nice people and sort us out some hot drinks and cookies. They're gently asking the oldest kid if he knows mum and dad's phone number. He doesn't, and he isn't keen on giving out their names to strangers. Security guy says that this is pretty common. They get a cop to come in and the kid starts to spill all the details. The combination of cop, food and drinks convince the kids to release their iron grips on my pocket and one another. Security tells me we can go, but at that point we feel a bit responsible, so we hang around. I also wanted to see the idiot that let the kids go, so we just kinda waited. Didn't have to wait too long in the end. A frantic guy ran up to the tent, and the mystery of how I became the accidental father of 3 kind of solved itself. Guy looked just like me. Tall, beard, black hoodie, builder's pants. Obviously, our faces were different, but to a little kid, how often do you look up at your parents when you're walking along? Turns out that this husband and wife both thought that the kids were holding the other one's hand, went into the festival, and immediately realized the kids were missing. He had to run the length of the venue to get to the exit. She stayed at the entrance in case the kids walked through. When the dad got to the ticket stand, we were already gone, so he ran to security and eventually got pointed in the right direction. He calls his wife, and I can hear her crying with relief. The cop tells us that this apparently happens all the time. Kid wipes his nose and grabs the leg that looks like the right one, and the family separates. We shake hands with the dad and the cop, hand off the kids, and go back to the ticket line. A slightly less smug ticket lady reverses the family charge on my card and lets us in for free. We had a good time and got a story out of it, so I guess all's well that ends well. At first I was like, wow, that's really irresponsible, but I guess I can kinda see how it was going, and they did wait at the entrance and do everything they could to find them. But what I was really confused about is why that teenager charged the card before anything else. They were like, oh, 2 tickets, and they charged the card straight away. Surely you have to confirm it before you charge the card. But anyway, they got him for free, so what does it matter? I just wanted to eat my shabu shabu. Recently, I've become addicted to the little authentic Asian restaurants in my neighborhood. I also have found that I adore Japanese hot pot, also known as shabu shabu. Now, the owners of my local shabu shabu place are a lovely older generation couple, likely in their 60s, with bare minimum knowledge of technology and minimal ability to speak English. They do speak Korean and Japanese fluently, as the wife is from Korea and the husband is from Japan. This becomes important. I don't speak fluent Japanese and no Korean, but the owners are smart and created a menu with pictures for their English-only guests. I love eating there. I go about 1 time every 2 to 3 weeks, and I definitely will pick this hot pot place over all the other ones around. I love that it's fresh, and I've gotten to know the owner's sister and kids, who work in this family-run business too, pretty well. In fact, the owner's sister is going to culinary school, and she often likes to test new recipes she's trying out with me. Food is truly a universal language for us, and most of the neighborhood. Now, while this place is authentic, that also means that a majority of their customers come in because they know exactly what they want and when. Shabu shabu is mainly a self-serve kind of thing. You can look it up if you want more info. And the place is basically a seat yourself after you inform people you're there. They will come for soup, meat, and drink orders, but everything else is self-serve with a near buffet style for veggies and add-ons to the hot pot. So I went yesterday with my mum, and we really enjoyed our time. It was a Friday happy hour, and because I'm a loyal customer, I got a nice discount and no charge on my sodas. Anyway, while my mum's sitting eating her soup, I get up to get some freshly made white rice that the owner has set up with a nearby pot for customers to go grab from. In a small bowl, of course. I am making my bowl when the wild Karen and her kid, about 12 to 14 years of age, enters through the front door. I start spending my time picking out a topping for the rice, which they left sauces and whatnot next to the rice for us to do too. The wild Karen begins making a huffing noise. When I glance behind me, I see that the owner's daughter is still prepping a dessert on the patio for a couple, and that the other server, his sister, is loaded down with multiple dishes of cold meat to set out at the different tables for waiting customers. I shrug and finish prepping my rice before heading over to my mum. I didn't know the wild Karen had followed me. She waited until I was moving to sit to grab me. Literally grab me by the arm. Where the heck are you going? You need to seat my child and I. I don't work here. You just need to get a table and someone will come eventually. What the heck kind of joke service is this? You need to serve me like you did this fatso. She pointed at my mum. There were clearly 2 set up plates and drinks and everything, so it was kind of obvious that I had just been at the table eating. Annoyed and not wanting to deal with her, I start trying to pull my arm away. Lady, let go. Not until you serve me. Lady, I just want to eat my dinner, leave me alone. Karen went ballistic and begins to yell at me loudly. I won't type a repeat, but there were words given out that no child should hear from their parents, including racial slurs. I pull my arm free at the same time the owner's sister comes to stop her, and Crazy Karen scratched down the side of my arm in full view of everyone. Not enough to bleed, but enough to leave a light mark. The sister of the owner started yelling at the woman in Korean. Soon enough, the entire family is yelling at her in Korean. I just kind of stood there staring. My mum looked like something funny was happening while she pulled me away. The commotion called the security guard, who likes to park their cart just outside the main entrance to the strip mall. The owner, in his broken English, had the woman and her kid kicked out. She threw such a fit that the guard banned her from the strip mall for a week on the way out. When she finally drove off, I chatted with the owner's daughter a bit, who promised me a sweet ice cream treat for after dinner for the trouble. When I sat down, my mother started laughing. I asked her why she was laughing, and she explained that during the confrontation, the owner's wife, daughter, and sister were using their Korean to name-call the woman the most creative, offensive names she'd ever heard. When the owner's sister came with the apologetic ice cream after our meal, my mum told her in Korean that she loved the food and show. Turns out that my blonde, blue-eyed, and clearly white mother was the only person in the entire restaurant, aside from the family, that spoke enough Korean to understand what they were yelling, and it was all creative insults. They didn't even try to talk about serving her. All that was said was that she scratched me, one of the best customers they had, and they full-on started a contest on who could insult her the best. Hence why my mum had a hard time from keeping from laughing. By the end of what my mum had translated, everyone in the place was with us, laughing and back to the happy mood. I am so glad I enjoyed this place so much, and can't wait until next week. Mum and I are planning on taking our family friend there when she flies in from South Korea. Oh, and I bet a lot of you are wondering what kind of insults they were, so I'm gonna copy them and pin the comment to the top. They listed a lot, but I don't want YouTube to get mad at me for saying them, so I'll just comment them down below and pin them to the top. Listen, I'm going to get you fired and make sure you never have a job. So let me begin. This happened back in the year 1999, and I was 19 years old in the army, and I looked nothing like an employee at a local Walmart. So I had just gotten my very first career job, which is in the army then. I was excited about being in the army, but with that said, I was able to rent my own place and was stoked about being a real adult. Or so I thought. So when I finally got to leave to go on vacation, or leave as they call that in the military, I decided to head to Walmart to buy a bed and a TV, so I could just veg out in my place with my own rules. So I dressed up in my PT uniform and I went to Walmart. As I was walking up and down the aisles, this older lady asked me for a bit of help to load a microwave into her cart. Being the totally nice guy I am, I said no problem. That was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, I told her to have a good day. As I returned to my mission, someone, or entitled lady, tapped on my shoulder. Immediately, she demanded I get her something off the shelf. The only reason I said no is because she snapped her fingers at me like I was some kind of servant. I told her no and went about my business. Mistake number 3. She started a huge storm of cussing at me and telling me I don't belong in her country anyways. For context, I am very dark brown and my hair is straight. A lot of people think I am Mexican or from the Middle East. I am not, I'm half black and white. Anyways, as she is screaming at me, I am simply tuning her out. Which, in my retrospect, I should have told her to stop. Then this poor employee shows up, and she is instantly her next target. This entitled lady ripped into this poor girl who was seconds from crying. Again, I step in and tell her that she's a rude person. I was a bit more colourful than that, but I'm keeping this PG. Just as I finish my tirade of telling her off, in steps this poor manager. Again, the lady goes into graphic detail of how I called her a string of bad words, and she wanted me fired. The poor manager looks at me, and I assume he is ex-military, and says, "Madame, he doesn't work here, and he is clearly in the army," hence the words on his clothes. She turns bright red with anger or embarrassment. After about 25 seconds of this, she looks at me in the eye and says she wants my boss's number so she can get me fired, etc, etc. I obliged and gave her my captain's number. Then she says, "Once I learn your name, I'm going to make sure you never get a job in this state again." I nearly died from laughing. I walk away thinking it's over. Boy, was I wrong. It ended up being funny as hell, but just wow. About 4 days after this, I have kind of forgotten about the whole ordeal at first. I then get a call from my CO asking for him to see me ASAP. I get down to his office when, oh my goodness, the entitled lady is in his office saying, "Yes, that's him, now fire him." My CO has her leave, so I can tell my half. This ended up being like a 3-day investigation. The only reason why it was so long is because they needed the footage from that Walmart, which clearly shows I did nothing wrong. So a day or so later, it's me, my CO, and the entitled lady sitting in his office. He explains that not only was I not getting punished, but we have requested a restraining order against the entitled lady. She lost her mind and was escorted off base. Luckily for me, I have yet to run back into her. I'm so confused, what's she gonna do? Like, "Oh, I'm never gonna come back to your army base again. Like, I was a good customer." It's like, no.
Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.